If I had a nickel for every time the Montreal Canadiens in the past 15 years have had some sort of a late-round pick whose last name was Harris find himself in the NCAA doing fantastic things and potentially look like a steal, I'd have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's kind of interesting how it happened twice, because today we are talking about a guy that could be cementing himself as the next Montreal Canadiens steal of a prospect. No, we're not talking about Jacob Fowler. No, we're not talking about any of the other guys that we have made videos about in the past. This is literally the first time we're talking about this dude since he got drafted by the Habs in 2023. Today, I wanted to turn your attention to University of Denver Pioneers left wing, Sam Harris. Yeah, this is exactly it, man. We're talking about Montreal Canadiens prospects that are down there at the bottom of the barrel. But Sam Harris is only really down there at the bottom of the barrel because he was a 2023 5th-round pick by the team. 133rd overall, October 14th, 2003 is the birth date, 5'11", 185, left-handed left-wing guy, out of San Diego, California. Sam Harris was what was he? Okay, October 2003, which means he was eligible for the 04 class, which would have made him a 2022 draft-eligible player. He was a draft +1 overage pickup by the Montreal Canadiens in this 5th round. And if you go over to the numbers that he produced before getting drafted, he was playing out of the Sioux Falls Stampede in the USHL, posting up a literal point-per-game metric. 56 points, 56 games played, bouncing back after a 35-point season and 60 games the previous year. That first season was his draft-eligible year. He was not drafted, so the Canadiens, deciding to put all their chips in this guy the next season, took him in the 5th round. The scouting report reads this: Sam Harris looks to punish opponents with and without the puck. Without it, he throws crushing hits, subtle nudges, and always gets in the way. With the puck, he does those same things while manipulating opponents to create lanes to the net. He prefers to slow down, drawing defenders toward him, and then passing to an open teammate in the slot. Now, the thing is, I made the little quip here about the Canadiens taking guys in the later rounds with the last name of Harris, only to have them doing things in the NCAA. That is exactly why we are talking about Sam Harris in this video. Last year, he posted up a freshman season with the Denver Pioneers of 21 points in 42 games and 14 goals. Not a bad season for a guy who's a freshman, but definitely not like super noteworthy for a guy that we're labeling as a steal of a prospect. But the thing is, Sam Harris in this season's worth of play has done a lot more. Because in the NCAA for 24-25, Sam Harris has 9 goals and 9 games. He's at 13 total points. He is a literal goal-a-game guy. And as a result, if you take a look at the NCAA in its entirety, this guy leads the league in goals. How crazy is that? He is number 1 in goals. He is number 1 in goals per game amongst all the notable players in the league. Sam Harris is a Montreal Canadiens prospect who is the best gosh darn goal scorer in the country in the collegiate system. I get it, he's a little bit older compared to a lot of other prospects, but he is still the number 1 guy in goals. And if you go over to his point production, sure, it's not like near the very top. He's top 10, but he's 7th overall. His point per game number, though, is indeed one of these higher rankings if you exclude the guys who are at 2 points a game flat. Sam Harris is 14th overall in totality, but if you remove the other guys, he is 9th overall. So the Montreal Canadiens literally got themselves the best goal scorer in the NCAA 2 years after the fact, but they did so in the 5th round as an overage player. Now, to help us out with what we're talking about here, let's go over to an article on the Hockey News from earlier this week by Ryan Sykes. November 12, 2024, Denver's Sam Harris is among NCHC honors. Sophomore forward Sam Harris was among the NCHC Players of the Week for Week 6 after tallying 3 goals in the Denver Pioneers' sweep over Lindenwood. Take a look at this. Another week, another weekly Denver honor. 2, actually. Sophomore forward Sam Harris was recognized for his efforts with his first NCHC Forward of the Week honor. And you know what's the best part about this entire thing? Well, I'll tell you this. If you go over onto the Denver Pioneers hockey Twitter account and you take a look at their lines before every game, hey, guess what? Sam Harris doesn't even play on the first line. He is given second line minutes, and he is still the top goal scorer in the league. How the hell is that even possible? Like, I get it, there are some good players on this team, like Zeev Buium, for example, is the #1 D-man on Denver. He was a top prospect in the recent draft as well. But Sam Harris is not even being played on the top unit. He is still getting goals. He is finding ways to put the puck in the back of the net. A lot of the assets that we had spoken about in his draft profile are being exemplified in the NCAA tenfold here. I mean, you take a look at some of the goals that are being scored, they're all posted onto Twitter by the Denver Pioneers hockey account. I mean, he's finding himself in the front of the net, he's tipping pucks in, he's being in the right areas, and he's also putting himself in good scoring areas to just kind of find a puck in open space. He gets through guys, he finds that open pocket in the slot, he's firing those 1-Ts. Sam Harris is a legitimate monster. And at this point, I think the Montreal Canadiens might be having themselves a guy who could legitimately challenge for being, let's say, a 15 to 20 goal caliber NHL player one day. Oh, let go. That's so underwhelming. He's a goal-a-game guy. He's the top goal scorer in the NCAA, and you're saying that he could have a ceiling of 15 goals? Well, yeah, I mean, he's an overage guy. Really overaged guy who was drafted in 2023 in the 5th round. When was the last time you had any sort of 15-goal potential out of a 5th-round dude? I'd like to think that's a little bit of a liberal estimate, to be honest. Like, it's so rare to see 5th-round guys even have enough hype to talk about them, that the fact that Sam Harris is out here leading the collegiate scene in goals bears repeating. It just becomes even more crazy when you acknowledge that he was taken in the 5th round. So for Montreal Canadiens fans that have been paying attention to this team, drafting guys and taking dudes that would inevitably score a whole bunch of goals in the NCAA, from the Cole Caulfields to a bunch of other dudes in the past, maybe translate that to different leagues like Ivan Demidov, for example, in the KHL, Sam Harris is legitimately in that conversation as well, because he's got no choice but to be. He has got a goal a game this season, and he's over a point per game. Sure, he's 21, but that's a pretty good rate for anybody in the NCAA, especially if he's just #1 flat. So if you're a Denver Pioneers fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What have you been seeing out of Sam Harris as a prospect? What have you been seeing out of him as a player? And what do you see as his potential heading into the next few games over here? What are your thoughts as to how this is going to pan out throughout the rest of the season? Do you think he's inevitably going to get #1 line time, or is he going to be able to just keep on producing like crazy as a member of the second unit? Thoughts in the comment section below. Montreal Canadiens fans as well, what are your thoughts on how this guy's going to translate? What are your thoughts on what you've been seeing if you've been paying attention to Denver and their NCAA team? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.